Under 50 days till go time. Can't be messing around. Although messing around is exactly what I'm doing right now. Get back to work. Hey, welcome to our YouTube channel, or welcome back to our YouTube channel if you're coming back for more. We bought a Ford Transit Connect XLT that we're turning into a camper van for a road trip this summer. We have lots of other videos. A lot of times on YouTube it kind of doesn't show the real life, what all goes into it. So we're trying to do our best to give you real life van conversion videos and how to videos on how we are choosing to approach our build. So check out our channel if you want to see more of the things that we did, the different stages that we're in, or just get some updates from us as well. Tonight I'm working on the overhead cabinet up here. Right now there's kind of a shelf up above the driver's seat, but there's lots of space. Let's see if we can, there's lots of space here that's not being utilized by really anything. So tonight in this video, I'm going to try to create a shelf, like a cabinet, to utilize this extra space up here. So lots of different options out there for doing this. And that's what we're gonna do. Enjoy. The first thing we need to do is to put up something here that stretches all the way across so that we have something to kind of hold the whole thing up. I thought I had more 2x2s, which is what I normally would do. I have this one, but it's not long enough. So I'm just gonna have to make do. I have some 2x3s that I'm going to cut and rip down just because, so I can make do with what I got. Okay, so I abandoned ship on my last idea because with that thick of a piece here, the actual faceplate would have gone like out into here and then left a big gap here, and I didn't, still might go back to that route, but I don't know. So I'm trying this new one where I screw a piece of plywood into the tongue, like kind of at an angle into the tongue groove here. But because the roof bends like this, when I screw that up snug, it's like an angle like this. And if you have an angle like that, when the faceplate in the cabinets open, they're gonna scrape the ceiling, I think. So I'm gonna call it a night. I've had a long day. And I'll tackle this with fresh eyes tomorrow. All right, scratch that. I gave up too early on that last plan. I like this plan better. I found that if I cut this so that it doesn't go all the way into here, that it sits a lot flatter up there. It must be something like a little bit, it's kind of angled a little bit, so it's kind of pushing it a little bit. This is much more straight. I just moved it back a little bit too, so that I have some more space, and I kind of lined it up with this coming down, so I can just come down to here. So I think it's going to be much better from here. Tell me you got kids without telling me you got kids. So after 1, 2, 3, 4, on my 5th attempt, I got a cutout of that matches pretty darn close. So I'm going to transfer this onto, I'm just using MDF mostly because that's just the only spare stuff that I had that could fit that length. And I didn't want to go spend 60 bucks on another piece of plywood. I want something a little bit thicker than the 1/4 inch, just for hold, and I don't know, it's just less flimsy. So I'm just using 1/2 inch MDF. We're gonna paint it anyway, so I'm not too concerned about, you know, giving, although it doesn't, we're not gonna use this for super heavy stuff. The MDF doesn't hold screw quite as well. But this is gonna be more for blankets and clothes and things like that. That's nothing super heavy. Just when I thought this thing couldn't get any dumber, it goes and does a thing like this and totally redeems itself. So I know I was super frustrated with this during the ceiling video. If you want to see that one, go check it out. But I was just frustrated on the last plank. I tried to use this thing. I bought it for the purpose of doing the ceiling, and then I was super mad at it, super frustrated, said it sucked, and then I used it on the floor, it worked great, and now I used it on this, and it worked pretty good as well. So contour gauge, get one. Maybe get one that's not the cheapest, but it was the most readily available. So now I'm gonna go ahead and cut my boards. I got them all traced out. I'm gonna cut them and then just pray to God that it fits up there first time around. But as we all know how this goes, generally there's a few times back and forth between the van and the jigsaw to kind of iron things out, and then we'll get things rolling. This is always the scariest moment of everyone, is that first time going up there. You just are hoping that it goes right up. It's dusty. Okay, let's see how I did. Nope. Gotta trim some fat on this baby. Not much though. All right, looks like I just gotta trim a little bit. Let's see how it goes after that. Okay, so I think this is gonna be the one. Oh yeah. All right, so that looks good. It's kind of an interesting shape, but it just kind of curls around that and fits pretty good. So the next thing I got to do, oh, by the way, that took about maybe 30 times back and forth from the jigsaw. Had to trim one part up, and then it'd get a little bit closer to the ceiling, and then it would cause another part to hit a little bit. So I was just taking off blade, like just a little bit of the blade, like blade width off, you know, kind of. I like to keep things as perfect or as flush and things like that as possible. So I really just kind of eased into it, took little bits off at a time, and then ended up with a pretty clean product, I think. So now I have to cut, we're going to do a single hole, I think. So really set this down. So just cut like a big hole. There we go. So cut like a big hole here, and then I can screw this in, and then I connect the plywood for the shelf, and then we'll be done. So pretty sweet. Okay, so last night I finished up cutting this. Now tonight I traced out the opening spot, and I'm going to take my jigsaw and cut that out. That's all cut out. It looks really nice. I rounded the edges just because I like how that looks a little bit better instead of just the clean cut. So it turned out really nice. So now I'm installing this cleat on the back. I just ripped down a 1x2. I ripped it down to 1 inch here. So what this is going to allow me to do is it's going to be right on this is on the back side. This will allow me, I'm leaving a 1/2 inch right here because I have 1/2 inch plywood. That's going to be my shelf. So this will allow me, once I get this installed, that once I get my plywood cut, I can just slide it up into here and screw it into this from the bottom. So I'm going to pre-drill and connect this with 1 1/4 inch screws. The 1 inch screws are a little too short to get enough hold on it, but the 1 1/4, if you add 3/4 and a half, that's 1 1/4. So I have to be very cognizant of when I'm pre-drilling, but also when I'm screwing in the screws, because they get pretty close, and I'm just going to set my drill to have a really low torque so that it stops before it kind of like presses in, and then it's going to come out the backside. So hopefully I'm successful with not poking that hole all the way through. Okay, so I got my cleat installed, and I did not go all the way through with the screws, which is awesome. I pre-drilled some holes up top. Now I get to install it up here. Okay, so it's a little dark to see, but there's a few things I had to do. One, I had to unscrew the handle, push it up because it was kind of in the way. I can't get this bolt out, which is fine. I think it's okay to just slide that up there, do that on both sides. And then I had to compensate for this little curve that came out. So I just made 2 little notches out on the plywood. And the next step I'm going to put my table saw at a 1/4 inch and just run, let's see, maybe this will help. I'm going to run it through. So I notched out these corners to get around that, and then I'm going to run the table saw. I'm not going to go all the way through. I'm just going to go a 1/4 inch through here so that I can slide it down, so it kind of locks onto that shelf up in front. And that way it kind of secures itself there a little bit. And isn't just sitting on there bouncing up and down like crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I might take a few passes, like go on either side of this line a couple times, just because that part up there is a little bit thicker than just a blade length, or blade width. So I'm going to do that. There you can see I have my blade just barely poking up, which measures about a 1/4 inch, and this is 1/2 inch, so it should cut about halfway through, and that should allow it to lock down. Okay, so now I have a groove right there that runs. So I just ran it 1 time through and then moved the blade out 1 blade length and then ran it again, and that should fit on there. So I'm gonna go give this a shot and see how it goes. Okay, here goes nothing. Dropped nicely in there and slid right up under there. All right, so now I had pre-drilled a few holes, and now I can just zip some screws up in there if I have my screws close by. So I'm just using 1 1/4 inch 1 1/4 inch construction screws for this. Same as I used for the ceiling. Right. I pulled that nice and tight. So now you can see how I got it is just screwed into that. This is a little rough looking, but now we got ourselves an overhead cabinet, and it goes all the way back. This thing is just kind of sitting on top of there, and we got ourselves an extra bunch of space. So now I got to make a door to go in front of that. All right. So for the sake of this video, let's envision this is all painted, and we got some hinges, some sort of hinging mechanism up here. And this door would just go right up here. Beautiful, beautiful. And then we open it up and ta-da! Look at all that space. Just gonna grab my clothes, grab my whatever. Close it up. I'm good to go. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this video for now, because I think at this point, just installing some hinges. I'll do an update later on, just like a general van update with whatever hinges we choose. All right, so since I'm actually editing this video after the fact in the Transit when it's done being built, you can see what it looks like installed and painted. So got hinges up here. Sabina found these awesome leather poles here, and then you pull it up. We got these hydraulic hinges. These are 6-inch hinges. It was really hard to find ones that could fit this small of an opening, so these are 6 inches. We got them on Amazon. Just connect them down here, and then up here I had to add a little piece of wood here. Just used some construction adhesive, the Gorilla Glue, and then screwed it in from the back, and then screwed that in there, and it kind of gives you this nice slow open, and then holds it up at about 90 degrees, and then coming down you just kind of shut it up. So that's the completed build. This was a fun project, actually. It was kind of nice to, the only tricky part was getting these edges kind of, those edges kind of cut. But again, that contour gauge was really helpful in that. Using the cardboard method was really nice. So yeah, I think this is awesome. This is going to add so much more storage in here. And I actually went and sat in the driver's seat, and it doesn't feel too claustrophobic. It's actually high enough that it feels pretty good. So super excited about this one. Again, this, just like everything else in a van build, there's a million different ways you can do it. If you go on a Facebook group or on YouTube, you'll see people have brackets and all sorts of different things holding this up. But the best way to do this is the way that stays up when you're driving down the road, and that works for you and that you feel comfortable with. So if you're feeling good about it, don't let anybody else's opinion matter, right? Unless they have some very valid points or whatever, like it's going to fall straight onto your head while you're driving down the freeway at 75 miles per hour and crash and die, right? Obviously we don't want that. So be smart. But this worked out really well, this way that I did it, with that cleat on the bottom, and then just screw up, and then cutting that groove so that it can kind of nest into that upper shelf. This all looks good. So if you found this video helpful, give it a like. If you want to see more how-tos from a beginner van builder, feel free to subscribe to the page. We'll do van updates, how-tos, and everything else. Check out our channel for all of our other videos as well, like how we installed this ceiling, how we installed the battens that actually hold the ceiling up, and our walls and all that good stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.